Set some goals. Whenever you're in a training, the presenter knows where he wants to go, what he would like to share. If you read the title, it was called CPR in the ER, or SCR and ECR. Only because those types of skills are the hardest to teach in a regular 5-minute, 10-minute video. I can help you with all the reading skills, multiple choice all year long in our videos that you watch, but it's real hard to teach very difficult things. An essay is worth 10 points, but it has to be a process that I can build over time. Okay? So, in order to be productive and make sure that we have a roadmap together, look inside your folder and you're going to see a graphical organizer with a train. I'm not going to try to train you how to use the train right now. I just want to use it as a roadmap of our plan for today. Okay? So, sometimes we want to know the author's purpose. Other times we want to know what's the purpose of writing. So above that, let's go ahead and write i.e. one of the essay types will be informative expository. Okay? Only third grade had one called OA. What was theirs? An opinion argumentative. Okay? And a lot of kids, third grade, you can tell, only 86% of the third graders got a score from 0 through 5 with both graders, when they could have gotten a score all the way to a 10. Does that sound like very good scores? No. So if you had kids who had less than a 5, don't feel bad. That was the whole state. Only 14% of the third graders got a 6 or higher from the 2 readers. Okay? The other one, I'm going to put it underneath. It was going to be correspondence. Okay? And in my opinion, it's probably going to be in the form of an argumentative piece or an opinion piece. Correspondence is you write a letter to somebody with a desired expectation. And I'm going to tell you this, if they would have given any of your students correspondence as a prompt, I would have been extremely upset. Not one essay sample was sent to you guys last year to show you what a correspondence piece would look like, what a correspondence prompt would look like in terms of responding in the form of an essay. There were lots of opinion papers written in different passages, but they weren't asking your kids to write a letter of correspondence arguing a certain point to somebody. And because it's so political, they have to be very careful. They're not going to ask you to take a letter probably outside the confines of your district. It's very political now to write a letter to a governor or a mayor or a president, because there's so many people that have different opinions and they're getting so offended. They're going to have to be careful. It might be a letter to just the principal or to a teacher or to their mom or to their dad or to some relative. I'm going to call it GPS, getting pretty specific, close to home, things that are not going to be too controversial, at least politically, if that makes sense. Okay? So our purpose today is going to be SCR and ECR. Okay? First row. I'm going to talk louder so that you can hear me over there. What does SCR stand for? You get one ticket for each letter that you get correct. I am. Everybody say short.
Short.
Constructed means it's not there. There's no, if it's a constructed response, that means there's a box. That's why I told you that the shortest one is the text entry. So they have to write a word, a phrase, or a sentence. Because there's nothing there to pick from. Okay? Short, constructed response. All right, let's take a moment. How many of you like prizes? Raise your hand. All right, I had her give each of you 3 tickets. Okay? And the tickets say moolah. What is another word for moolah in the real world?
Money.
Money. How many like money? Raise your hand. Okay. One of you is going to win 100 in cash. 100 cents. Or 1,000 in cash. Some of you are going to go back to your campuses and districts and say, hey, we need this guy to come. Last week there were some administrators from Kingsville who came to watch. They said, I'm going to be basically talking to every single school in Kingsville because they within the first 5 minutes they said, we need this guy at our campus, at our district. But I won't be able to go there unless you become my flyer. Hey, there's this bald guy.
Always like the bald eagle.
He's not a big company, but he has some ideas, and I think he's going to be able to help us a little bit with this process because our writing scores were like everybody else in Texas. Horrible. Our reading scores. Okay? The problem with short constructed responses is most of the regional service centers and your district people thought you were supposed to explain a short constructed response. And the key word for short constructed responses is short. So, let's come over here to the red light. And you can help me. Can you see that okay? Mm-hmm. What box number says text entry for reading teachers in the form of a word, a phrase, or a sentence? 3. Okay. I'm going to ask you a silly question, sweetheart. And when I use the word sweetheart, I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm pretending like you're my what? It's possible that some kids never get called sweetheart. They get called stupid. Or a piece of S. Because that was me. That was the parents I was talking about in that post. They didn't give a crap about me. They made fun of me. So their friends could laugh. And I thought, maybe there's some other kids that are like me. And so instead of using terms that are demeaning, I could use positive words of affirmation. So I don't mean to offend you when I say sweetheart. But I hope that your heart is sweet so that your kids can see that in you. Does it say short, constructed, repeating? Does it say short, constructed, restating? No. But here's what I want you to do. Make sure you understand that if they're going to ask us a question, that question is going to be about a certain topic. Okay? They're going to ask us a what?
A question.
It's going to be about a certain what? Topic. It's also known as a TEKS in your world. What is that? It's a specific Texas essential knowledge and skill. Okay? And it might be where all they have to give is an answer. And that is worth how many points? 1. Okay? That's why they have it in section 1. And usually it's just going to be a word, a phrase, or a sentence. And if I'm trying to teach logistically, scaffolding, I'm not going to give you a 10-point question before I give you a 1-point question. I'm going to ask you a question. Red light. And all I want you to do to get your point is answer me with a word, a phrase, or a complete what? Because every grade level says they can give you one of those. And it'll be in a box. Miss, I don't know what to do. There's not A, B, C, D. You're going to say, sweetheart, I got married and my husband didn't have an A on his shirt. And some other guys didn't have a B, a C, and a D. I had to do my strategies without having a textbook in front of me. I had to do the process of what? Go like this, everybody, with an E. And say, eliminate. Eliminate. Help me. Eliminate. 75% of your test is still going to be multiple choice. So stop spending 75% of your time on open-ended. You're wasting your time. Because on the folder, very first box, if you're trying to save money, yeah, go ahead and use some of your old star, because even though they say F, G, H, and J, if you work that, it's still reading skills and writing skills, editing and revising. It's just that when they transferred to online only, they said, it's impossible for a kid to make a mistake. And so the reason paper pencil was A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, A, B, C, D, F, help me. A, B, C, use your hands. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, A, B, C, D. They said, most likely they'll notice, oh, A, B, C, D is for all of the odd. Let me show you why they did it. Do you see the word odd up there? Okay. How many letters, put your hands behind your back. I'm going to ask you a question and don't tell me with your mouth, show me with your fingers. How many vowels are in the word odd? That's the first odd number on a test. How many letters are in the word even? That's the second odd number on a test. And so the state said, when you're doing paper, if it's odd, you can only put A, B, C, or D. Okay, hands back behind your back again. What's the opposite of odd, boys and girls? Even. How many vowels are in the word even? That's the first even number on your... Miss, what about 0? Yeah, there's no question 0, dude. Yeah. How many letters in the word even? And that would be the second even number. And so the kids were supposed to understand that if it's F, G, H, J, I can only select even numbers. If it's even numbers, I can only pick, and that's why they did that. So there was less chance to make a mistake, if that makes sense. Does it make sense? Because here's what happened to one of my kids. Everybody raise one finger. Some of you said, I'm lost. Okay, watch me. Let's do an example. Number 1. If it's odd, they had to only pick A, B, what? C. All right, so just tell me A, B, C, or D. B. All right? Everybody bubble in your paper B. That's on your book. Now go bubble it on your Scantron. Okay? That's what's happening in the real world. Okay? Then we got to this number called 2. and 2 is even. And it doesn't say A, B, C, D on paper, it says they had to do it that way. Because they said maybe less kids will get confused on paper. Okay? So, you're on number 2, sweetheart. You can only tell me F, G, H, or J. J. Everybody say J.
J.
Okay? So watch me please. Everybody say A, B, C, D. What position is the B that she chose? The second position. Number 2. What position is the J that she chose? F, G, H, and what?
J.
The 4th position. What my student did in the booklet, he went ahead and circled J. But in the Scantron, he went back to number 1, where he had already circled the B and circled the D. And then number 3, he put it where 2 goes. Number 4, he put it where. And the computer is supposedly going to catch your students doing that, because you can't double click unless it's a more than one answer. So when his test booklet came back, sweetheart, he got a 95, and my test booklet, because we did the test together in class. When the Scantron came back, he got a 5. And he was like, "Sir, what happened?" And you tell me, dude. Were you being careful or careless? Careless. So that was TA's philosophy of suppose it was going to help the kid, but it didn't help him. And so I told him, "What's your name?" Stephanie. Would you like the 95 that we gave you in the book, or the 5 that the district gave you in the Scantron?
95.
I'm not giving you that. You should not reward somebody for being careless. Because if that was the real test and you allowed that test to leave your room, the kids are going to suffer. But TA stinks. I mean, the other 2 stink. They think that by just going all online, A, B, C, D, that it's going to be so much harder for the kids to make a mistake. And I'm sure that your kids are going to find a way to make a mistake and mess up. Does that make it more clear about what happens? Yeah. And so I loved her face. She went like this. So help me, please. In your line paper, wherever you're taking notes, I want you to write for me TMI. Normally, what does TMI mean in the real world? Yeah. Some of your kids cannot handle too much information in one period, because we know that every 5 minutes one kid stops listening. And if he's not listening to you, he's probably not looking at you either. But what I recommend you do, when I saw her face, even though it was just one person that said that, I'm confused, I didn't keep going. A good doctor is going to stop and help every patient. Jesus said, "I'm willing to leave the 99 to help the 1. And what I want you to think about is, in your classroom, try to have teachable moments of what? Because I noticed that one person didn't clearly understand what I was trying to say, I had to do a quick TMI to make sure she was clear about why I feel like the A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, even though that was there, it still created problems for many kids.
Not only that, like a good teacher knows that she was the brave one to speak up. I was lost as well, but she was brave enough to speak up and say something, and that allowed for that teachable moment to occur. And now we're all clear on what we were trying to explain the first time around.
Okay, go ahead and write the word brave. Here's a teachable moment of instruction. Some of your kids do not know what any words mean, but I will tell them that brave is an emotion. Okay? She wasn't in a battle, and trying to sacrifice her life for everybody in this room. Because sometimes I think, oh, brave is only if you're willing to put. No, she was like, if I say this, he's going to know that I don't know everything. Yeah, you're probably not Jesus either. You're not all-knowing. So I'm willing to stop 1,000 times today and do a teachable moment of instruction. If there's somebody who doesn't understand something, that's what a good teacher should do. But sometimes the presenters with PowerPoints, if you have questions later, you can ask your questions. Yeah, they're not going to let you ask questions because they're not going to know the answer. They were just hired to go through the PowerPoint and they have no idea what the hell they're doing. But some students because we're on the roof when we should be on the floor, the whole class is going to be confused, lost, discouraged, and so are you. So in those cases, you should probably do what? Intervention. Don't keep going. If half the class looks like a dog doing this, use the visual clues from your students to tweak or change whatever you're doing or explain or to give it an extra what? Or give something extra time so they can have a clearer understanding of whatever you're trying to get across. Okay? So brave has to do with my what? Emotions. Okay? Here's a suggestion. One of the problems with the online format is all the things that we used to do on paper is not allowed much. But if you stick this over the top of the board, it's so durable. You can use a dry erase, wet erase marker, and they can do almost every single strategy. TA says you can use colored pencils, you can use highlighters, you can use vis-a-vis markers, you can use dry erase. So placing this on top of the screen is completely legal and allowable. It is. I don't know what that face means, but
That was clever.
huh?
That's clever.
It wasn't my idea. I learned it 2 days ago from a teacher, and she asked if I could have it. They sell these 50. If you can write that number, please. Say 50 for, not the number, $27. Is that reasonable? Because some teachers are a little bit frustrated that when we transition to online, the kids were literally doing nothing online, and they weren't wanting to do anything on paper either. And so you were having to do this in your classroom. Watch. What did you do? Brandy. Brandy. It's a great drink. I got nothing. Since I can't read Brandy's mind, if she doesn't do anything on the computer, if she doesn't do anything on line paper or blank paper, I have no idea how in the world she got to her answers, and that's one of the struggles that we've had as teachers. Okay? So every time I do a question, you can say, put this over the top, and with your dry erase or wet erase marker, do the strategies that I've been teaching you, and you can just erase it every time very quickly because it comes off with a Kleenex very quickly. And TA said you're allowed to use any tool, and so this is not an accommodation. Like a whisper phone can be used by every single child in the entire state of Texas, regardless of subject. It's not something that only kids who struggle can use. Okay? So if you're noticing kids are not doing enough online strategies, all the things that I show you on paper could be done right there on top of the text. The only problem, and then explain it to you, everybody raise your left hand and say, passage. Whatever the passage is, the poem, the play, the informative, the passage is here and the questions are here. Because of having to scroll up and down, make sure they first align the paragraph that they're asking about with the question that's being asked, so that they can do their little online computer strategy and then erase it. Okay? Sometimes, yeah, go ahead and put some things on paper. But here's my suggestion. Right now, you're the teacher, you're the doctor, and I want you to imagine that doctors wear these things called lab what? Lab coats. Lab coats actually stand for something that if you don't like that idea and you think somebody's going to get pissed because you do it, even though the hundreds of school districts did it last year, say, you know what? I need you to show me what you're thinking by using lined and blank paper. Because I, the doctor, I'm going to be showing you by wearing my lab coat to teach you lots of lab coat strategies. Because from now on, we'll be testing on something that starts with a C. Computer. And the entire test is where? Okay. Online. And the goal is not just to test online, but to also see if they can apply TS. Test what? That you've been teaching them. Applying of test strategies. So, figuratively speaking, the day before the test, you're going to take off your lab coat, because you'll be teaching lots of lined and blank strategies, yes or no? Lined and blank paper strategies. You'll be teaching lots of computer, online, applicable, practical test strategies. And hopefully they're going to use some of those. Okay? Whether they use this and then erase as they go, or if they just say, you know what, I'm just going to use the line and blank paper, and all I'm going to do on the computer is use the highlighter. Okay, I need to see something. Unfortunately, you can't tell them anything that day. So, write this in your notes, 50 nifty. The 50 nifty, I already wrote some myself, so if you don't have it, you're new, ask me for mine. The day before the test, you're going to say, boys and girls, tomorrow, tomorrow, you're going to ask me a lot of stupid questions on test day that I can't answer. So, I'm going to rewind the moment and say, today, I'm going to give you 50 nifty answers to the questions you'll ask me tomorrow that I can't answer. And it will be, honestly, things you already told them all year long. Miss, do I have to do the strategies you taught me all year? No, sweetheart, just do whatever you want. And then I'll kill you. You get some really silly questions. Miss, so do I need to use the highlighter today? Listen, tomorrow, if you don't go get the highlighter, I'm going to be pissed. Let's say that in a nice way. Tomorrow, if you don't get the colored pencils. Tomorrow, if you don't get the stacks of lined and blank paper. If you don't go get the computer cover, I'm going to be upset. And most students are either going to raise or lower their standards to your level of expectations. Not everybody. GT parents? Call them the helicopters like you do. Excuse me. Lisa? My child got his first 89 this year with you. What's wrong with you as a teacher? And you're going to say, nothing. I told your child in writing on top of the test where the directions were, you must show some strategies on this test, whether they're online or on paper, to get full credit. And that was a smart thing. Telling them with your mouth is you against your word against theirs, but having it written in writing to get full credit for this test, you must show some process of how you arrived at your answers. Is that unreasonable? No. But to parents it will be. Just the other day I was doing a math training and a lady said, the dad, it's always the man, said, I told my son, I crossed off these 7 questions and said, you're not doing those. That's not real math. And you're not going to show the strategies because you have it in here, sweetheart. And they need to know that you're smart enough that you don't need to do her strategies. And again, I couldn't read Brandy's mind and I can't read GT's mind. And so a true doctor is going to use their strategies sort of like an x-ray to say, okay, where did he go wrong in the thought process? Because if I can't see what he was thinking, I don't see an MRI, I don't see an x-ray, I won't know where he went wrong, and I have no earthly idea how to help that child. And so I got to figure out, Lisa, how do I help that parent who's so stubborn, who thinks his GT kid is Jesus? I said, ma'am, I put it in writing that the most you would get for not showing any work was an 80. You can look on the top of the paper. Panchito, your son, if he would bother to read the instructions, would have seen it. And again, I'm going to tell you, most students are going to what? Either raise or lower their standards to the teacher's level of expectations. I keep praying mic drop. All right. Would anybody like this as a gift? She raised her hand first. She was like, I want that. And so just so you know, she had to cut it because it normally comes closed on the side, but so that it can kind of tuck in. And I want you to notice, since one side is, this would be the side that would be in the front because it gives you at least an extra centimeter. What did I say, centimeter? Centimeter. That way it gives you more space to kind of do some strategies. 50 for how many dollars did she say? Would it be worth it maybe for some kids? Now, if your district says no, you can't go against them, but at least from now until the test, I can be doing some of these things online that they can't do because it just doesn't allow you to. And I'm going to tell you the reason. Do you remember when ETS had the test? And the test was always crashing? The more strategies that kids put into bandwidth that a computer or a networking system can't handle, the more likely the system will crash. And so Pearson and the other company that's in charge now, Camden, said, let's limit how much online stuff they can do. Because they're not wanting to make you invest the millions of dollars per district that it's going to take to get enough bandwidth to handle when there's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade taking reading and writing tests a lot of times on the same day. And so that's why, watch me please, that for most of you, there's a testing what? So that we're not all taking it at the same time. That's one of the reasons. They just don't want the computers to crash and then you guys complain My child was almost done with that test. So that's unfortunately the reason why they had to troubleshoot and figure out how can we keep that from happening. Well, we're going to limit how much a kid can do online. Okay? All right, goal number 2.